Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade, along with Kennedy, Harold Ford Jr., Dana Perino, not a junior, Greg Gutfeld, a senior, and it's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. So the Democratic Party is in full-blown panic mode as a disturbing rape allegation from 5 years ago rocks the campaign of scandal-plagued Maine Democratic Senate nominee Graham Plattner. Here's what accused Jenny Richaud told CNN.
Did Graham Plattner rape you?
By definition, yes. Absolutely. I had recognized that he wasn't listening to me. It wasn't just that he wasn't hearing me or whatnot. And then I recognized his level of intoxication, and I knew in that moment I wasn't safe.
Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false.
So now an avalanche of Democrats are withdrawing their support. Top leaders like Chuck Schumer, Kirsten Gillibrand, Liz Warren, Ro Khanna, all bailing after waiting nearly a day. Senator Bernie Sanders released the following statement saying, quote, "I have spoken with Graham Plattner about the best path forward for Maine. In light of this very serious allegation, I recommended that he step aside." Keep in mind, all of these lawmakers said, no big deal. He's got a Nazi tattoo. He's all for rape apology on Reddit posts, sexing scandal, other credible allegations of abuse of his ex-girlfriends. Here's a little trip down memory lane.
It happened in a dark period of his life, and the Maine voters that I met said they don't like it. They knew that he had these chapters.
That's my kind of man.
This guy is an authentic man. You know, he's not anti-Semitic.
This is a guy who is...
Morning Mika is questioning the validity of the accusation.
What was the piece of evidence or pieces of evidence that made you sure of this story?
We saw screenshots that she shared of messages relaying this account to others. We viewed an email response from her therapist to her acknowledging that they had talked about this.
Those are the things I said, but those are, what is the actual, is there evidence between her and him, evidence of a crime? Because he's being accused of rape.
Okay, so Mika's a holdout, it seems, along with Chris Murphy, Tina Smith, Congressman Brian Schatz, and Dick Durbin. Kennedy, what's it going to take for this guy to leave?
Was Brian Schatz demoted from senator to congressman?
How dare he?
Yeah.
Yes, he's congressman.
Would you like more readers?
Yeah.
What was the question?
My question is, what's taking so long?
What's taking so long? Nothing should take this long, and none of this is surprising. So what we knew from the last series of allegations from ex-girlfriends, one of whom happens to be a Republican Party adjacent. And she was completely discredited by the New York Times and anyone else in Graham Plattner's circle, which had grown to include quite a few Senate Democrats, because she's a Republican. Now, meanwhile, she was giving firsthand accounts of this abuse that she alleged during their relationship. And when that happened, there were a lot of people saying, well, what else does it take? If the guy has bad-mouthed service members, if he has said racist things on Reddit, if he had a Nazi tattoo, now you've got allegations of assault, what more will it take? And then you had people in Democrat, is what it took, and B, that it took so long. Mm-hmm. So the people who are sitting here on the sidelines sort of waffling, these are the believe all women crowd from the Me Too movement who now don't want you to believe a woman with a firsthand account. This is not reporting. This is someone talking, painfully about her personal experience. And Graham Plattner is trying to say, well, the reporting on this, that's not reporting. That is not someone else telling her story. She is telling her story firsthand, and she has been reluctant to come forward. The reason she did come forward was because Lindsay Fifield, who is his ex-girlfriend, who said that he twisted her arm, he locked her in a room, the abuse that the New York Times tried to sort of lessen.
Soft pedal?
Yes, exactly. She said after the reporting on that, she's like, I politically agree with him. I had to come out and say something.
Because they said she was a Republican. That's why.
Lindsay, yes. Yeah. But Jennifer, this girlfriend who was alleging a very serious rape allegation, she's the one who said, because of that reporting, I had to come out. I had to tell the truth.
Dana, Debbie Dingell came out and said, the Congresswoman, I'll make sure to give her the correct title, she said she hears more is coming out.
Well, that was from the beginning, of course, we knew that was going to be true. And they didn't care. The other thing on the New York Times is that Lindsay Fifield, the Republican, who had dated Plattner, who had told the story, along with Rasko in the New York Times initially, she gave them 5 of her sources in order to corroborate, because the New York Times kept saying, it's so important that we try to corroborate this before we go forward. They called 2 of the 5. Mm-hmm. And those 2 said, well, we know her, outstanding character, et cetera. They didn't call this. So when did the Democrats actually start to care? It wasn't just because of Jennifer Rasko. It's because the recent polling shows that Graham Plattner was going to lose to Susan Collins. And they thought, wow, we only have 2 weeks to figure this out. So I guess that we had better do that. Elizabeth Warren says he's my kind of man. The person who looks the best in all of this is AOC, because she didn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. And then you have somebody like Mika Brzezinski, who is going to question Now she's going to question this woman. And if you look at the reporters are like, okay, so we went back and then we corroborated it just like we should as journalists. And then she's still going to question, yeah, but did he really rape her? I mean, the Democrats run up against this over and over again. Here's the other thing. The New York Times is reporting that Plattner's has conditions. Sir, you are not in a position to have conditions, but they're going to give him conditions. He gets to handpick his successor. So imagine that badge of honor as a candidate. You are a Nazi sexual assailant, Graham Plattner's handpicked person to run here. Congratulations. We can't wait to have you. That doesn't make any sense. If they pull a Biden switcheroo, the Democratic brand is just so damaged in the state. And Susan Collins, what is the knock against her? She's so steady. There's no drama. Okay, well, maybe the state will be looking for that. But let's also talk about this bigger picture. This entire fiasco comes down to the base wants Plattner or somebody like him. The establishment Democrats wanted somebody like Janet Mills. The fight continues, and the problem for the base is that they have consultants who are idiots. And they're
Where did that go? Where did that go? Next thing she's going to tell us that Graham Plattner's penis is sharp as a tack. I used to think that Joe was the dumb one. I am wrong. This is a fun story because you learn so many things about the way people think and how morality can dissipate when it comes to power. Dingell also said that she understands Plattner because they needed someone to beat Trump. That's what she said. Because remember, Trump is the worst thing in the history of things, which allowed the Dems to dispense with all their phony morality and choose someone who is guilty of everything they say Trump is. Again, if it wasn't Trump, it was another Republican, they would do the same thing. And I love this other moral off-ramp that they use. You know, and we've heard this. It's what the Maine voters want. That absolves them of any spectacle of principle. You know, they put it on their fed-up constituents. But they didn't do that with Trump's voters or Bernie Sanders supporters. They smeared MAGA in 2016 as white, bigoted rubes, and they negated the voters' embrace of Sanders. You know, the base wanted Bernie, and that didn't matter. Why does this matter now? I keep asking, why did they stick with him? One, they didn't see it mattering to their status. They could be for him when he's winning and then dump him as a liability, which, as you said, when it became too costly. Then there's a sunk cost of the previous support. The longer you back him, the harder it is on your ego to cut your losses, which is why they should have disowned him with the Nazi tattoo. They could have saved them all this hardship and embarrassment, but by allowing the Nazi tattoo to fly, then you really effed up person. And did you think that somehow that would just be the limit? You're going to find out a guy with a Nazi tattoo is a selfless humanitarian, a sober, even-tempered, charitable, functioning member of society? There's going to be no other skeletons in his closet? Or did you just think we need a white guy and we don't know any because we chased them all out? We will support exactly the kind of guy that we spent decades trying to eradicate in the Republican Party. This beacon of white supremacy, a neo-Nazi, a misogynist. This guy was supposed to be in the Republican Party. They couldn't find any. Biden tried to look for them. And then when they found one, they're going to make him senator. And why? Because they had no other men left. There's no one left. This was it. He was white. He had a mustache. Who cares if he's a rapist?
He had a fake oyster farm, too.
Yeah. What did he do to those oysters? He probably roofied them.
Harold, you're a Democrat, but it doesn't seem like you're a type of guy anyway to begin with. So where do the Democrats go from here?
Well, they'll pick someone else. They've got a few days here, as I think DP and Kennedy laid out clearly, that we're running up against a deadline where you have until next week, the 13th, and he has to drop out, and they have 2 weeks to pick there in Maine. It's important to note, I was not for him from the outset. I said I would have voted for someone else if I were in Maine. Voters there in Maine voted for him to be the nominee. It's unclear that if even those who voted early had known all of these things, but they had still voted for him. But I'll take the voters that they were. They wanted him. I hope he sees fit to quit. I wish him and his family, I don't pile on people, I wish him they already are facing an uphill challenge, with the exception of North Carolina, to win those seats. Greg, you may be right. Maybe there was an interest in finding someone, a white male, to run. But I got to think they're better ones than this.
Yeah.
Right. So who are these other people? Shane Bellows, Dan Kleben, Nirav Shah.
Dan
Kleben, I think.
Yeah, he's the one who, one declared already. Troy Jackson.
Yep. I don't know. I know I've read the things. I've seen reporting on him today, but I don't know. I think the Kleben guy is not in politics. I think he's a business guy. But anyway, I've read the backgrounds of all these guys. I don't know whom they will pick, but I trust they'll pick the person.
And just know that he was socialist, too.
Brian,
everyone got past the post. He's also running as a socialist.
Can I ask a very quick question? Yeah. Dana, you brought this up. Do you think this is a result of Democrats getting together? They were sitting on this bombshell, and they decided to set it off now. Was it Democrats?
I don't know.
7th, 1996, by media mogul Rupert Murdoch and founding CEO Roger Ailes. Headquarters, New York City, New York. Parent company, Fox News Media, a subsidiary of Fox Corporation. Primary focus. The network is known for its 24-hour news cycle, which blends traditional news reporting with opinion-based political commentary. It was established as an alternative to what its founders viewed as a liberal bias in mainstream media. Key characteristics. Political alignment. It is widely recognized for its conservative editorial stance. While it provides breaking news, a significant portion of its programming consists of opinion and analysis segments. Audience and influence. Fox News has consistently been one of the most watched cable news networks in the United States. It holds significant influence in American political discourse and is frequently cited as a primary news source for Republican and conservative-leaning voters. Programming. The network features a wide variety of shows covering politics, business, health, and lifestyle. Some of its most well-known programs have included The O'Reilly Factor, Hannity, Fox and Friends, and Gutfeld. Criticism and reception. The network's impact on American media and politics is a subject of ongoing debate. Critics and some academic studies have pointed to its strong pro-Republican and conservative lean, with some arguing that its commentary can be divisive or inaccurate. Conversely, proponents view it as a necessary balance to other media outlets and a reliable source for conservative perspectives. Despite varying public opinions, the network remains a dominant force in the U.S. media landscape, with a reach that extends to millions of households and a significant digital presence through its website and streaming platforms like Fox Nation. Is there a specific aspect of Fox News, such as its history, specific programs, or